You know, it's like you know I'm doing the like what? Like Avengers Endgame, that scene in the last battle, where it's like all the female side characters, and you look at, and sadly, like half that roster are just like people, just like normal human beings. Even some of the ones that have powers are like, you know, like the Wasp. It's like, okay, well you can become small. You're still like just kind of like a person against armored aliens with laser rifles. And then here's Black Widow, which is great. I mean, super cool character, probably one of the best, but also that she's just a human. A lot of side they literally for that lineup of the women get it done section of Endgame or scene in Endgame, it's a lot of side characters, all of whom, to my recollection, are pretty great in the movies they're from. It is probably pretty telling though that they were all side characters and not like main characters outside of Black Widow and the Wasp. I would say the Wasp counts, and then yeah, no, not many past that. Ooh, yikes! Ooh, pulling the collar. I don't know. I remember I watched that with a friend, and he rolled his eyes at that part, and I was like, nah, it's cool. I don't know, it was cool. It was cool. I don't know. I thought it was cool because it was like, hey, look at everybody who's here, even, you know, like look at all these characters, and I actually knew who all the characters were, you know. That was pretty cool. I don't know. I remembered them. I remember liking them. Yeah, it's whatever. Here's the thing about pandering, right? Is that at worst, it may become a distraction, and then but really, for the most part, like if it's just a distraction for if a pandering moment in something in a piece of media is just like just kind of like takes you out of it for like a split second, that's not great. But if that's the worst thing that happens, it's like whatever, man. Because ultimately, you know, it can do substantially more good for other audience members, for other players, for other readers, for other viewers, you know, than it does harm for you. You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, you have to acknowledge that women exist for a moment. Ugh, it gives me shivers. Imagine. It's like with Spider-Man 2. People complaining about that. I don't really get that because in my mind, like I played the first one right before I played the second one. Everything felt about the same to me, subject matter wise. But like, I don't know, if we're talking about politics, I don't find either of them particularly political, unless unless you see a black person on screen and you're like, oh, politics. My politics. Oh no, black people exist. Oh, and then you faint. You just piss yourself and faint. Wake up in a cold sweat. Was it all a dream? See Miles Morales. Start crying. I'm sorry, it's mean. It's kind of rude, but like, come on. I don't know. It's just sort of like, I felt like they were both pretty in line with each other. There was some, I would say there's definitely moments in Spider-Man 2 where it's like a little more on the nose, but for the most part, I was so wrapped up in the main story that like, I don't know what's the complaint, and it's also like, what's the complaint? That a bunch of optional stuff wasn't to your liking? Well, it's a good thing there's a whole game there outside of that you could play, right? It's like, if anything, it's like, isn't it also pretty telling that they had to put anything that might be a little bit pandering, or that might be a little bit like the most diversity and the most pandering moments and the most woke moments are all designated to side content? Like, what are we complaining that MJ and Peter had a real conversation about the relationship? Oh no, ooh. Two people in a heteronormative relationship having a serious conversation. Oh no, they're talking. They can't do that. Quick, Peter, just make decisions. Make decisions blindly for the both of you. I just don't. Oh dear. And then like, it would be like if you complained about this entire video based off of this end card portion rant that I'm going on, right? It's literally would be that. It's like, you know, dude, I like your freaking Mario videos, alright, but I think you need to keep the politics out of it, man. I need to keep the politics out of the end card portion that you probably should have clicked off of like 5 minutes ago when I started talking about Avengers Endgame. I don't know how to help you. You came here, alright? I exist here in this little carved out section of YouTube that I have made for myself. You decided to come here and then you decided to stick around. I can't help you, alright? I can't make you leave. Clearly I'm doing my best. But no, I felt like Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 were like the same, pretty much tonally and subject matter wise, pretty much the same. So anybody who liked the first Spider-Man game, or Miles Morales especially, and then went into Spider-Man 2 and were like, oh no, it's different. It's different, it's so woke. It's like I'm seeing a lot of carryover, I'm gonna be honest. And then for anybody complaining that the side missions have you, you know, being Spider-Man and helping people, I literally heard a dude moments before recording this. I like saw somebody because they had the Spider-Man 2 is a woke political mess, and it's like, okay, whatever. I gotta at least I want just a taste. Give me a taste. I need to know how crazy you're acting right now. But hey, sometimes people have good points. I listened to a lot of things when Last of Us 2 came out because everybody was talking about Last of Us 2 when that came out. And there were moments here and there where I'm like, okay, I could almost understand that. I could actually see why that would be frustrating. I have my own frustrations with that game. I like to think mine are a little bit more nuanced than other people's, but overall I still thought it was a good game though, so. But like with Spider-Man 2, it's like people are complaining that like in a side quest, so already complaining about it is kind of whack, I don't know. But in a side quest, that you play as Spider-Man helping people, random. I heard a dude's exact words were, "Why I'm a Spider-Man helping some random people, helping a random homeless guy, helping a random woman find her dementia-ridden father, helping a random blind woman." And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, hold on, are you complaining that you had to go and help people? You know, like Spider-Man would do? Like how friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? It's like, people complaining, people acting like the only thing Spider-Man ever does canonically is like stop robberies and murders and supervillains. And it's like, no, dude, he's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for a reason. He would literally go and help somebody, like, get their cat down from a tree. That's the great thing about superheroes, that they go and they help people, like everyday people, like all of us. You upset because he stopped and talked to like a photographer for a moment? Really? Peter Parker, Spider-Man, are we talking about the same person? Miles Morales, Spider-Man, stopped and helped a random person. I don't... You know, like he did in the first game in the side quests? Did you like the first game? So why do you hate this one? Because they're essentially the same thing, except the new one's got, the 2's got like a brand new coat of paint. I just don't... Here's the thing, you don't like 2, that's fine. Have a little consistency. You should also hate 1 then. Because it's the same, they have not changed. Their agenda is not shining through. Alright? Listen, I would also be a little concerned if they completely gave Peter the boot and like killed him off or something and then completely replaced him with other people, right? Because in my opinion, I think it's cooler if we get more spider people in the same game together. That's what I want, you know? I don't think that in order to introduce new people, you gotta kill Peter or gotta give him the boot, right? But also, I think Peter's story is pretty rough, you know? He goes through a lot, and if he just wants to be, you know... Spoiler alerts really quick, right? Spoiler alerts. If he just wants to be Peter Parker at the end of it for a little while, if he just wants to be Peter Parker for like maybe a year or two, maybe not even, maybe a couple months. Let the guy be Peter Parker for a little bit, all right? Hasn't he given enough? People are like, that's being selfish. His whole thing is that he needs to endlessly sacrifice himself in his mind and his body. Somebody was like, all the murder. Think about all the murder and robbery and assaults that are gonna happen when he stops being Spider-Man. It's like, that's why Miles is there. What are we... He's not stopping being Spider-Man for no good reason. He's stopping being Spider-Man because there's another perfectly good Spider-Man who's willing to pick up the slack. Let the man be a human being for a little while. The whole point of Peter Parker's thing is that, like, he has the power, and it's his responsibility to know what to do with it. But the whole point of Spider-Man's existence is trying to find balance in his life. Is trying to balance school life, work life, home life, while also being Spider-Man. And I think the important thing to have Peter be able to do eventually is to learn that just because he has this power doesn't mean his responsibility isn't to suffer. His responsibility is to all the people around him, right? If he can find a way that the crime will still be solved, that the day will still be saved, and he doesn't have to sacrifice his home and his livelihood and his relationships in order to achieve that, good. I would say that's a Peter who has evolved. He has overcome his character flaw. I think Peter Parker's character flaw is that he feels the need to surrender himself entirely to this responsibility he has. Listen, for as much as Uncle Ben's dying speech made Peter who he was in the best ways, it also gave him a lot of, like, emotional baggage that Peter does not work through. I heard in the new comics they just keep beating him down further and further, and he just never grows. I want a Peter Parker who grows. I want a Peter Parker who grows up, sorts himself out. Even Sam Raimi's Spider-Man figured that out, right? Of course, in the end of the second one, the second movie is about him coming to terms with the fact that, yeah, you know, if I want to continue to help people, then things will be sacrificed. That movie was about him learning to accept that, right? But that's not an end point. That's not Peter Parker at the end of... That's not like the end of his character development for good, no. What comes after that needs to be learning that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? Finding a way to make it sure it's not all or nothing. Why am I ranting about Spider-Man right now? Man, internet's got me screwed up on Spider-Man. Think about Across the Spider-Verse. Spoiler alert for that. I think it's really telling that a majority of the Spider people in Across the Spider-Verse think that it's on them, that a key part of their character is needing to suffer in order to achieve their goals. They think that by design their universes would fall apart if they didn't suffer, if they didn't lose certain people at certain times. I think that's really telling. I think it's really telling because that's such a warped idea to have. But of course it makes perfect sense. Of course, if so many bad things happened to you in your life, of course you want to think that there's a purpose to it. It would feel much better to know that there's a reason for it. Well, you know what? The world's literally going to fall apart if I don't shoulder the burden of these things onto myself. That's Spider-Man's whole MO. And you know what I love? I love that Miles Morales is gonna swing in there and be like, that's freaking stupid, dude. You're telling me I know a bad thing is gonna happen, I have to let it happen, or else the universe is gonna get destroyed? That's stupid. Uncle Ben didn't die to save the universe. Uncle Ben died and you became Spider-Man because of it. Cut and dry, that's the end of it. It's not Uncle Ben died so I would become Spider-Man. It's Uncle Ben died and so I became Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It's not like Uncle Ben's death is not a predetermined, destined thing to make you who you are. That's crazy. No, you just are who you are because that happened to happen. Because the things in our lives affect us and we change in accordance to them. It doesn't mean they had to have happened. It's just that things happen and so you are who you are. You don't have a predetermined destination to reach, and so these things need to happen for you to get there. That's not predetermined, that's crazy. But of course a Peter Parker would want to think that, yeah, Uncle Ben's death had to have happened to get me where I am. It's like, no. I don't think so. He could have stayed alive. The trajectory of your life would have changed, probably. But that doesn't mean it wouldn't have changed for the worse, and most importantly, the universe would not have collapsed in on itself for that to have happened. And of course Miguel wants to think that his tortured existence is like by design. Tough break, buddy. Your life just kind of sucks because your life just kind of sucks. And also because you are doing nothing to improve it. Let's be honest. That's enough. I'll see you in the next part. I've extended this out to an hour now, rambling about Spider-Man and other games and movies. Goodbye. Get out of here. Shoo.